Netanyahu, leader of Israel. Many of you have asked for me to look at his Bazi Astrology, and I also wanted to offer his astrology in relation to the country in which he is ruling. So welcome, my name is Lydia, and this is the Feng Shui and Bazi Chinese Astrology channel. On this channel, I often like to read the charts of famous people because I feel it helps us to understand our own charts and our own lives. If this is of interest to you, please subscribe, like, and hit the bell so you don't miss a single video. As with all political readings, I am just reading a chart. So please keep your comments respectful and kind. I'm happy to answer your questions. So thank you again for being here. I had actually thought this morning as I was sitting in meditation and asking Spirit to guide me into the videos to make this week. And one of the first comments that I saw when I got back from my long weekend away was someone saying Netanyahu. And I said, well, I guess that's the one because he came to me in my meditation. And, you know, all politics aside, you all know this that have watched my videos. One of my biggest things is kindness. Love and hate. Love and hate. When we look at our world, sometimes it doesn't make sense why there is so much suffering, why there is so much hate, and why it's been so sensationalized. Why that shock value of, oh my God, is what catches our attention now more than ever, as opposed to, whoa, how cool. Look what that person just invented. How amazing. I don't ever see news like that. You got to dig to find, oh, look what they just discovered, or look at this, something wonderful, something beautiful. People getting along, people working together, people solving problems. We don't get news like that, do we? Unfortunately, the clickbait is almost always based on how shocking it is. And just suffice it to say, that when we look at our world leaders, wow, what a power they wield to drop bombs and annihilate an entire population of people. Yeah, I have much to say about that in living here in the United States and the soil upon which this country was built. Oh, yeah. It's a wonderful book called Belonging. Can't remember the author right now. Patty Krakow, might be that. Beautiful, beautiful book about indigenous peoples of this land and the truths. I love truth. It's hard to find it, but when you find it, because it feels right. It doesn't feel slanted. It doesn't feel like you're being convinced of a side, but rather there is no side. It just is. So, Netanyahu is born on my birthday. Look at that, October 21st. But this is certainly not my year. 1949. He's got a few on me. We adjusted for daylight savings time, which is observed in Israel in 1949. So we're going to back it up to 9:15 in the morning for his birth time. Before I pull out Israel's astrology, let's just say this is a match made in hell. Much like I will put the link, and I know there's controversy as to whether Palestine is a country, sovereign or not. But suffice it to say that these countries were established and signed into being on terrible days. And Netanyahu is born with a not so fortunate astrology. And it begs the question, friends, does our astrology turn us into monsters? Yeah? Think about it. If your astrology is full of conflict and strife and oppression, maybe instead of internalizing it, maybe that's the mirror of your world, right? Think about it. If we create our own reality and we have chosen to incarnate at the exact time of our birth, to have the experiences our soul is ready to learn, what a thing to be brought into a time in which your journey is going to be one of great challenge. And the challenge can be something that you internalize, meaning that you beat up on yourself, meaning that the harm is self-inflicted or victimized or something like that, or you turn it around. You project all of that conflict out into the world. This is just coming to me, but it is an interesting thing to wonder. And this is why I love reading charts about people that we see in the news and we're aware of, because we can go, whoa, I wonder if that's me. So I'll put a link below. Would love to do your own Bazi Chinese Astrology. And just in case Bazi Astrology is brand new to you and you're like, this is weird and different, well, Chinese astrology, also known as 4 pillars, I always describe as being of the earth, comprising the 5 elements, and Western astrology is of the sky. And there we have, as above, so below. It creates a whole. And they both astrologies are fascinating because they show us the complete picture. They really do. Okay. This is fascinating astrology. This is not a strong man. No, this man is actually weak. He hardly has any support. I'll show you his chart. I don't have as many of my wonderful notes there for you, but you can see that he is born in the year of a yin earth ox. Of course, strong, determined, stubborn. That's his overarching personality of getting it done. Doesn't slow down. This is not a man that rests. It's a man that works and works hard. The month, Yang Wood Dog. And the day of Yang Wood Monkey. The monkey is a problem solver, likes to stay busy, wants to stay engaged in lots of different things. Mastermind comes to my mind. Like, he's got his hands in everything. And he's got a lot of tools in his toolbox. And the ox and the monkey together shows somebody that can work to solve a problem, work to innovate something new, or it's a busy person getting a lot done. And he doesn't sit still. So he's a Yangwood Monkey Day. That is him. He might even have a sense of humor. The Yin Earth Snake is his day. That's his hour. The hour of Yin Earth Snake. That's his career. It is very interesting to me that Israel, which is born May 14th, 1948, at 16 o'clock, has a snake in the month and a monkey in the hour. Because Israel has the same affliction that Netanyahu has. Like they attracted each other. Like two people who just had a really shitty experience want to sit down and complain about that shitty experience, you know? And sometimes if we have an issue, let's say you've got codependency issues, you've got PTSD issues, you've got anxiety issues, what are the chances you're going to find a partner or a friend with the same kind of issues so that you can sit around and talk about your issues? It's kind of like he attracted himself to this situation. And weird as it is, he's got a partial penalty of the snake and the monkey. But you notice his life pillar over here brings in the third piece, the tiger. So he really has a partial penalty in his day-to-day, but in his full life, it's a big penalty. A penalty that shows somebody who has a propensity for legal problems, legal issues, loss of money, loss of reputation, health issues, being defamed. This just came to me. It's kind of like this penalty feels like the 5-star in Flying Stars Feng Shui. It is that kind of an affliction, if you will, in a chart that really just shows it's kind of like your road is full of potholes and speed bumps and security traps, police traps, right? So throughout your life, if you aren't mindful and careful, you could very easily wind up in a hole, wind up slowed down, wind up in a really bad situation. Now, all that to be said, he also has Year of the Ox, Month of the Dog, another semi-penalty, and this punishment is really about situations that cause him so much stress that they deplete him of his life force. Now, anytime a sheep shows up, a year of the sheep, a month of the sheep, that would be July, or the luck cycle of a sheep, which he had in 1974 from the ages of 24 to 33, brings in a full punishment. Now, I want to talk about where he is right now in his luck cycle that changed in January of 2024. Now, this whole commotion with Palestine and these people that began in 2023. So we're going to look at that transition. All right, so 2014 up until January of this year, he was in a yin fire rabbit time that was infusing him with wood. He is a wood person. He's actually a very strong, aggressive, assertive, patriarchal, powerful man. He has a lot of yang in his chart. His divine masculine is tipping too far over. Love to have balance. Don't always find it. So the yin fire rabbit brought the focus to himself and to what he is doing. It also is showing some new alliances in the last 10 years that he has forged, and that he has shifted something about his personality and the way that he sees himself, his identity, has shifted in these last 10 years. More than even that is this energy that he has been involved with of a sort of revolution or a renaissance of Israel. A lot of change, a change of role, a change of identity of self, a change of his alliances, a lot of instability. Then you bring that into now for the next 10 years from the ages of 74 to 83. Yang Fire Tiger. What is this? What is this? But one of the most important times in our lives is if we have the great good fortune to have our life pillar, the hidden part of our chart that tells us why we're living this life. The real truth under all the stuff of your life. Why are you here? Why are you here? This is that decade for him. His life pillar is a Yang Fire Tiger that brings in a full penalty of the tiger snake monkey and harms his wood self element. That's the luck cycle he's now in. For the next 10 years, he will be in this life review. This is in a lot of ways, and this can happen in your first luck cycle. I've seen it happen. It can show up anywhere in your life. It does not mean your life is ending. It means your life is in review. Can you imagine your first luck cycle at the age of like 2 or 3 years old? The only way to recognize it is to now look back. And that's what I told that client to do. Sit down and really do deep meditation for a while about your childhood and what you remember, the relationships, the events, and your emotional well-being. What happened? So here he is. This life shows someone who is very active. They enjoy the process of being active. They enjoy the process of being action-oriented towards creating things. That is the impetus of his life. Enjoying the process of creating things. With all the innovation of the monkey and the hard work of the ox. It's a beautiful pairing there, yeah? The tiger is yang wood, which is him. It's a life that says it's about what you're doing. What are you doing? And who are the people you're doing it with? Who are the people you partner with, that you have alliances with, that you're networking with? Who's in the web of your life? How are you connected? And even more important always, friends, how are you connected to yourself? And this shows someone who has a confidence, an independence, a sense of selfness that is clear. He's been given this. And so in his life, he will eventually, through many relationships and events that happen in his life, he will actualize this, hopefully, of how he has been supported, how his web of life has connected him to everyone that has impacted his life, and built up his ego self-esteem, built up his sense of sovereignty. Tucked into the tiger is more yang fire, reinforcing, weaving that element of fire, which is weak. It's only 9%. So it builds the fire. It stokes the fire of his creativity, his activity, his ability to be productive in the world. And then tucked into that is a little yang earth, which is about his father being a almost hidden but very important relationship. And I don't know anything about his history at all. So I don't know who his father figures were, but they are a hidden driving force in his life, for better, for worse. And it also shows hidden health issues. And again, I don't know anything about him. I don't know if he has struggled with health issues all of his life or not, but this would suggest that he has. And it also shows love. And I like to think that that warmth, that glow down there in the root of all, maybe it works its way up somehow from the underground of his chart. But that's where he is. And interestingly enough, that little bit of earth does speak of money. Does speak of money, but it's not big, it's not overt. And in fact, the predominance of his story is about him, his people, again, his web of life, and himself, his sovereign self, and what he does with his life. The actions that we take. I don't know, could you do something like that? Could you give people orders to shoot a rocket into a crowd of women and children and families? Even in retaliation. You know, it's like if a fight breaks out in the schoolyard, does everybody then take a side and start beating up on each other? Can you imagine a world like that? Everybody's just retaliating and rebelling against each other because you're not on my side, because you don't belong in my circle, because I don't agree with you. What a horrible place. Hell on earth, that would be, yeah? Whew. That's some heavy stuff. Being able to push a red button that's going to annihilate thousands and thousands of women and children and families and people. For what? For what? Wow. What a thing, huh? Humans can be awful beasts, can't we? And this monkey, they can do some shenanigans, man. And then you've got the snake in his hour. You know who else has a snake in their hour? Donald Trump. Kind of interesting, yeah? I was just wondering if his is the same hour. Yeah, it's a yin earth snake, just like him. It kind of just comes to mind. I've done so much of these political charts around the election. I just about memorized their charts, which is not something I typically do. And again, when we come to his hour, we see front and center fortune, wealth, property, his wife or women in general, and great health. front and center. The snake, yang fire, again, is somebody that is making money doing something they love to do, and very engaged in the action-oriented part of that. That fire, for being a wood person, is the part that says, go, make it happen, go make it happen. Tucked inside the snake shows a challenging, tough career. This is a career that isn't even out front. It's hidden. That's kind of weird, huh? And again, we have the patriarchy, the father. We have ill health. A little bit of money coming in from outside resources, and love, passion for what he's doing. The snake is somebody that is very intuitive, very behind the scenes, seeing how can I maneuver this? Like a really good chess player. How do I make this happen? And then you put that with the snake, the monkey, and he's figuring it all out. I would venture to guess that his comfort zone is not always out front at a microphone. This is kind of like the mastermind that works behind the scenes. Very, very smart. So then that brings me to, let's look at his elements. So again, he's born with the day of Yang wood. So that is his element. And that's 21% balanced, great. But the water that nourishes him is only 4%. So this kind of almost feels like a thirsty plant. He is always thirsty because he's not being nourished. There just isn't water available. And then when you look at his current lux cycle, it's a wood fire. The wood, yes, the wood helps. But remember that the tiger and the snake harms his wood. Why? Because the fire is draining him. It's kind of like, here you go. Here's more of the wood that you need, but psych, you got to use it right away. It's almost like you go to get a full night's sleep and somebody gives you a 10-minute power nap and says, nope, you're done. You're rested. Go on. Keep going. Wow. And then we have this penalty. The fire is weak at 9%. Earth is his excessive. Remember, I said this is a fake follow wealth chart because his earth is over 50% of his chart because he's born in the hot, dry month of October. Metal is balanced at 17%. So see, the fire is actually weaker. Why? Because Earth is so big, it's taking all the fire it can to keep itself sustained. Water is what is needed in this chart to control the Earth. I wouldn't add fire for the simple reason it's already in this current lux cycle he's entered into. And the fire is only going to fuel the earth and make the chart even more imbalanced than it already is. And what is earth to wood? Wood controls earth. It's almost like, because his wood is like weak and feeble because the water is so weak, it's like, this is the element that he controls, but he's out of control because the earth is so inflamed, he can't manage it. So there's this kind of volatility here. So water is what would sustain him and help control the earth. And that's not there. And then when you look at this year, 2024, and I'm going to give you the final at the end, a little insight into next year and a little bit about Israel with him. Because the fact that these both have the leader of the country and the country itself both have this penalty. It feels like it's almost like they're destined. Well, that would be a hard thing to say. So I don't know if I want to even put that out into the ethers, but it's very self-destructive. Leave it at that. I'll just leave it at that. This particular year, like I said, brings in a punishment. Now, this is an interesting thing, right? Because his dog is in the month. It's not affecting his year, not affecting his day, not affecting his hour and his career. Great. It would impact his parents and older siblings. So, and we had a chart with Mariah Carey recently where we saw that happen. And when there's a conflict that hits against the month like that, it can suggest that your parents or older siblings, somebody falls ill or dies. I've seen it too many times. And then, so what we see, elementally speaking, is that the dragon and the dog boost Earth. That's not welcome. Depletes water and fire. Really not good. Because this year is bringing in, it's kind of like there's like an earthquake over here. It's not going to directly impact me, but it is. In a backwards way it is, because my ability to take action is being challenged and thwarted. And my ability to feel strengthened in any measure has completely dried up, which means his support is gone. The whole world is up in arms at him. And still he won't back down. The ox people, they are stubborn. The yang wood is himself. And there is something personal about this. The dragon speaks of money and support coming from outside, you know, like another country, like, oh, I don't know, the United States, giving you all the ammunition you need. Yeah, so much to be said, right? And yet, we're not making this a political statement. Deep breaths. And then, tucked into the dragon is loss of money. The challenge to those resources. Meaning that some people are backing you and some people are not. The instability of finances here. And tucked into this is government and politics. And his own sense of self being questioned. Kind of like, what the hell are you doing, dude? From astrology point of view. And so when you have that conflict, what I would say this looks like is the dragon gets broken open. And when we get broken open, all the things that spill out, government, his political role, his career, how he identifies with himself. Inside the dog are the responsibilities and his job, his work. Everything he's responsible for. And he's responsible for every one of those deaths because he gave the authorization for all of this to happen. And tucked into the dog, It's a revolution, is war, action that leads to transformation, change, for better or worse. Pretty radical stuff. Why is it radical? Because it's a dragon year. Dragons are like that. So where are we going forward? Next year, Yinwood snake. Change of identity. Change of role. And the snake is going to arrive and emphasize this penalty in his chart. It will hit his life pillar. It will hit his luck cycle. It will hit his day, which is him, and his career. This is where, crimes against humanity. He will, it's going to be a time of justice. He may be hit with lawsuits and things around genocide. This is that kind of an energy for him. This is not going to be a good year for him, 2025. It is going to feel like, because he just came into this new luck cycle, so it is like all of this is starting to mount fast. So you wanted this reading? And there you go, friends. And like I said, the combination of this and Israel is really, really challenged. And again, the fact that the snake is coming in, it is going to inflame both Israel's situation and Netanyahu's. And I think that there will be a measure of justice that will play out next year, because next year is going to be a transformational year. That is my word for next year. Transformation to ascension. Time to wake up, friends. We cannot do life like this anymore. It's kind of like this is just too old. This way of dealing with our problems. It's just old. I think there needs to be a time when leaders can just sit down with one another and work things out. And maybe that's naive, idealistic, I don't know. But this is heartbreaking. And there is, for me, no side. I'm not for Israel. I'm not for Palestine. I'm not for this. I'm not for that. You know what I'm for? Humanity. Unity. Seeing you and me as brothers and sisters, all living this life, trying to get along, trying to keep a roof over our heads, trying to find a measure of joy in our lives, a sense of meaning and purpose that waters our hearts, makes our souls sing. That's what I'm interested in. I want to see leaders come out in this world with innovative, cool ideas of how to save this planet from environmental collapse and unify people. And I want to start seeing good stories in the news. So anyway, that's it. I, again, appreciate your kind comments and reflections. And until next time, let's be well. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti Om. Great peace. Be well.